England and Wales, but for Scotland it's a damp start across the north. Lighter winds here though, and then across Northern Ireland to start Monday morning, showery, especially across northern parts of England as well, where it could be heavy at times. Best of the brightness really focused across East Anglia, the Midlands and the southeast to start the day. But inland, 45 to 55 miles per hour is possible across England and Wales, so take care, especially during rush hour. Otherwise, showers affecting Northern Ireland and merging to give longer spells of rain across Northern England, Northern Wales as well. Towards the south of that, some sunny breaks, but also blustery showers that will rattle through pretty quickly, highs of up to 18 or 19 degrees. To start Tuesday then, it's actually a much brighter start out there. The low pressure will shift its way eastwards, so we'll start to see lighter winds. There'll be a few showers around, mainly across a northern part of England. Bright skies towards the southeast before sunshine turns hazy later, and then we see the return of more wet and windy weather on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's our biggest Great British giveaway to date. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas and has all of the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that any adventures you take in your new motorhome are taken in style. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 9 p.m. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight.
Well, thousands of people here at the Tommy Robinson Free Speech Rally today. They've shut down the entirety of Waterloo. The Waterloo station is just behind us here. You can see flags from all over the country. Hello.
Slurs and slander. How the Prime Minister and Liberal elites have tried to paint one of the most peaceful demonstrations in central London with hundreds of thousands of patriotic British people as a violent, far-right, racist rally. I'm joined by Dominic Tarczynski, MEP, who stood shoulder to shoulder with Tommy Robinson at the march yesterday. And
3.5 years ago, long time ago now, but made the biggest mistake of my life.
Thomas Skinner, the Bosch Essex lad who had lunch with JD Vance in the Cotswolds, and one of the most well-known English social media voices, has been hit with the Strictly Come Dancing curse before he's even debuted on the show. Will he be forgiven? Plus, the untimely death of boxing superstar Ricky Hatton, only 46 years old, has sent shockwaves through the country and around the boxing world. We'll be paying tribute to his career and contributions to Britain this evening. Also,
we change our plan, not changing the conversation. Change and reform are coming.
Well, he promised you change. He promised you that he would clean up politics. He promised you integrity. But instead, all you've received is more of the same, if not worse. How can the PM hang on after defending Mandelson? And has he lied to the entire country? Is it time for Keir to go? And Prince Harry says he regrets nothing. The gauntlet has been thrown down to Prince William after Harry does a tell-all sit-down interview with The Guardian. I honestly do not know how he's going to come back from this one. Plus, Rachel Reeves is now Keir Starmer's personal human shield and bad news puppet after the PM humiliated the Chancellor by promoting her juniors and his own budget and economics advisors. Is Rachel Reeves Chancellor in name only? And on my panel tonight, it's political commentator Chloe Dobbs, GB News contributor Will Kingston and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. And do you think the Overton window is shifting?
The most alarming aspect of the event was just how normal the vast majority of the marchers were. I spent an hour or two amongst them, and my own impression was that they were mostly the sort of people you'd meet in a country pub or in half-time queue for the loo at football or at a concert.
You'd never see that from Sky News, would you? Your Sunday night starts right here.
Good evening, I'm Bethany Elsey with your top stories from the GB newsroom. The former world boxing champion Ricky Hatton has been found dead at his home in Greater Manchester. He was 46. Police say they're not treating his death as suspicious. Hatton won world titles at light welterweight and welterweight, but it was also his down-to-earth personality that made him one of Britain's most popular boxers. Hitman, as he was known throughout his career, had a number of iconic fights against Costa Zoo, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. After retiring, he'd spoken openly about his struggles with mental health and drug addiction, but he was due to make a comeback this December. Channel migrants entering the UK illegally are set to be deported on Air France passenger flights this week. The Telegraph reports the arrangements for the first flights have been agreed, and asylum seekers are expected to be escorted by contracted Home Office security staff. The one-in, one-out returns deal with France allows those who cross the English Channel illegally to be sent back in exchange for asylum seekers who apply and are given approval to come to Britain. The Prime Minister has condemned the violence during yesterday's rally in central London, saying he will not stand for assaults on police. 26 officers were injured and 24 people arrested at the Unite the Kingdom march, organised by Tommy Robinson, which saw around 150,000 people take part. Sir Keir Starmer said peaceful protest is core to British values, but added we will never surrender our flag to those who use it as a symbol of division. Around 5,000 people also attended a counter-protest organised by Stand Up to Racism. The Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, has accused the Prime Minister of lying to Parliament over what he knew and when about Peter Mandelson's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. It's emerged Keir Starmer was given a report detailing the peer's relationship with the convicted paedophile before he was named ambassador to the US. But Downing Street says he was economical with the truth before his appointment. Peter Mandelson was sacked on Thursday after damning emails he sent to Epstein were published. 2 people have been arrested following the death of a 2-year-old girl in Teesside, which police have described as unexplained. Officers were called to Hartington Close in Thornaby following concerns over the child's welfare. She died after being taken to hospital. A 25-year-old woman and a 21-year-old man are being questioned. And Prince Harry has hinted at returning to the UK. In an interview with The Guardian, the Duke of Sussex said he'd like to spend more time with family, just days after it was reported in the Mail that he would prefer his children to be educated in Britain. After meeting with his father earlier this week, Harry also told the paper he has no regrets about speaking out against his family, saying his conscience is clear. Those are the latest headlines. I'll have more for you at 10 o'clock.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Well, I will not take moral lectures from a Prime Minister who gives his full confidence to Peter Mandelson, a man who apparently confessed to love prolific paedophile Jeffrey Epstein in now leaked emails. This was the Prime Minister on Wednesday.
Mr. Speaker, let me start by saying the victims of Epstein are the forefront of our minds. He was a despicable criminal who committed the most heinous crimes and destroyed the lives of so many women and girls. The Ambassador has repeatedly expressed his deep regret for his association with him. He's right to do so. I have confidence in him, and he's playing an important role in the UK-US relationship.
Well, I don't have confidence in Keir Starmer, frankly. The Unite the Kingdom rally, as predicted, has been slandered by the Prime Minister, who has, in my opinion, called the rally a racist march in all but name. In a statement today, the Prime Minister has said this: Britain will not surrender its flag to those that wish to use it as a symbol of violence, fear and division. The Prime Minister said the flag represents our diverse country and he will not allow people to feel intimidated on our streets because of their background or the colour of their skin. Well, that's not the event I attended, Prime Minister. I wonder if the black, brown and Asian people I spoke to at the event felt intimidated. Well, as usual, because the Prime Minister is so out of touch, he'd have more in common with an alien species. He's probably taking his marching orders from his chief advisor, Morgan McSweeney, who thought for a while that Peter Mandelson's support for a prolific paedophile was not grounds for resignation. This two-tier governance is exactly the kind of divisiveness that has caused the breakdown in our societies. These politicians are completely responsible and totally to blame for it. Let's take Carnival as an example. Sadiq Khan paused tributes to the Carnival, claiming the streets were alive with music and joy, showing the best of our city and the power of our culture to unite us. Meanwhile, 167 arrests for drug offences, 50 for possession of offensive weapons, 21 for sexual offences, 4 for violence with injury and 49 for other violence, 55 arrests for assaults on police officers and a proactive major police operation with 100 people arrested, as well as the seizure of 11 firearms and more than 40 knives. But when it comes to the Unite the Kingdom rally, 25 arrests, and Sadiq Khan says violence and attacking officers is completely unacceptable. Well, of course, we all agree with that, but look at the hypocrisy. Look at it. Back in 2020, Keir Starmer tweeted that Notting Hill Carnival started as a defiant response to the racist violence black people were subjected to in the 1950s. Today, it is an important celebration of black Caribbean culture and our country's diversity. But when mostly, not entirely, white British people go out to protest, well, they're intimidating people of colour, aren't they? Let's not forget, they're far-right thugs. That podium moment, yes, of course, nothing of the like from Keir Starmer when it came to the Hare Hills race riots. Complete crickets from our hypocrite-in-chief. It all stinks. It does. It stinks of the kind of hypocrisy, the kind of divisiveness that has led to the breakdown of trust between the government and the people of this country. And let's get real. If politicians like Starmer hadn't spent their entire careers dividing people, these rallies wouldn't have had to exist in the first place. I will not take lectures from a morally bankrupt hypocrite like the Prime Minister. Now let's get our thoughts on the panel here. Political commentator Chloe Dobbs, GB News contributor Will Kingston and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Will, I want to start with you. I saw this rally. I mean, you would have seen the footage. I think everyone's seen it now. I was there. And for people to be slandered by the left as fascists, these are children, women, people of all colour, all religions, barely ever mentioning the name Tommy Robinson. Most of them are just concerned people about our country, wanted to go out and wave the flag because they're so fed up with all the Palestine marches. It's just two-tier, isn't it? It's two-tier hypocrisy.
Well, I think the fascist term, the far-right term, the Nazi term, the racist term, they don't have any meaning anymore. They've been taken by the left and used to describe people they disagree with. And as a result of that, I don't actually think that holds much currency. Look, in a rally of hundreds of thousands of people, there are going to be good people and bad people. It doesn't matter what the cause is. The way that you have to then look at it is, what was the purpose of it? And B, what did the overwhelming majority of people do and think? And in this instance, the purpose was to demonstrate patriotism and to show to show concerns about the future of the country, mainly around free speech and mass migration. The problem is the media and Labor politicians usually focus on the minority in a rally like this, and they'll focus on the overwhelming majority when it comes to a rally like Black Lives Matter. That is the difference, and it's all about spinning a narrative.
Yeah, Chloe, this is the problem I've got with it. It's the hypocrisy. It's the two-tier attitude. When you look at the carnage at Carnival, 400 and so arrests, the Palestine Action Race, 800 arrests, they don't get mentions from Sadiq Khan. They don't get mentions from cabinet ministers, but they do get mentioned when it's 25 arrests and some skirmishes with the police when there were hundreds of thousands of people there. Why is that?
And when those arrests had been mentioned in, for example, the Met Police statements after the Notting Hill Carnival, in the BBC reporting on it and whatnot, it was done in a way saying, oh, it's been such a wonderful day, and inevitably there are a few skirmishes and this many people being arrested. Whereas in this case, it's you've got hundreds of thousands of people there and only 25. Yes, there may be some more arrests after the Met Police do their investigations, but that is a tiny number in comparison. And my understanding is that there were mistakes made by the police. They didn't anticipate exactly how many people were going to turn up. There was some miscommunication. They were kettled to where the stand-up to racism lot were. Some things did kick off, but to tarnish all of those people, as you said, this was like a family day out for a lot of people, lots of women and children there. To tarnish all of them, I think just exacerbates the problem. But you've got to think about, Keir Starmer needs to think about, why were those people there in the first place? They are there because they feel like they haven't been listened to by their politicians. When that politician who has refused to listen to them for years and years then responds, basically tarnishing all of them as some sort of thugs, it just makes people feel more frustrated that nobody's listening.
Yeah, and Bill, this is the problem I've got with it. I called this out last night. I said anyone who's committing an act of violence at any of these events is shameful, absolutely shameful. You discredit the thousands of other people that were there peacefully protesting. Now, the issue I've got with the Prime Minister and some of the cabinet ministers on the back of this bill is that they don't call it out when it's on their side. And I say their side, I mean on left-leaning politics. They don't call it out. They sit idly by while it happens. And, this is the issue. Sadiq Khan, of course, a relatively OK tweet overall, but he didn't say that about Carnival. There was hundreds of arrests at Carnival. He never mentioned them one time. And this is the issue people have got. And when you look back at past Prime Ministers, my issue is you compare Tony Blair, David Cameron to Keir Starmer. They didn't make these kind of divisive tweets and these divisive messages. They treated people the same, despite their difference in politics. Are we just moving away from that because politics are so divided now?
No, I mean, one, it's not accurate to say that Labour politicians and the Prime Minister haven't called out violent, aggressive, left-wing agitators, people wearing masks, wholly wrong in demonstrations. They've done that. And look, I acknowledge the vast majority of people on this march were peaceful. I disagree with them, but they were peaceful and they have a right to protest. But they have to take account of who they are associating themselves with. And this was a march organised by Tommy Robinson, who's a vile, violent extremist. He's been arrested and imprisoned on numerous occasions. He's a former soccer hooligan, former member of the British National Party, former founding member of the English Defence League, which was founded by soccer hooligans. He's joined a neo-Nazi group in Germany, and that contributes to a minority promoting and committing acts of violence, and they were serious acts of violence. But actually, the bit that I had most concerned about was the contribution from Elon Musk, which was deliberately inciting violence. And let me quote to you what he said. "Violence is going to come to you. You will have no choice. Fight back or die." That kind of tone, that kind of communication at that march is abhorrent and is wrong.
Which one of Tommy Robinson's views do you find extreme?
All sorts of his views. You know, the fact that he's been a member of the British National Party.
The specific view, the specific policy or worldview?
His demonisation of people from Muslim communities, his promotion of violence, which the march as a whole and that interview with Musk was doing. I've got deep concerns about that.
There is no evidence that he has demonised Muslim people. He has raised legitimate concerns about some Islamic subcultures in this country, particularly around the grooming gang scandal. And you can make the argument that he did more than many other people, if not anyone, to bring that to the forefront of public debate. I don't think I've heard anything to say that he's an extremist.
So, Will, you're standing up and associating yourself with Tommy Robinson. Even Nigel Farage opposes and distances himself from Tommy Robinson.
I don't think that's what Will's doing, just to be clear. I think Will is saying we need to point to specific examples. If we're going to call something... And I think I think we look at the Charlie Kirk situation, we look at the rhetoric, right? And we look at how we frame somebody. We must give examples, I think, Bill, to be fair. If we're going to...
The specific example, engaging with Elon Musk and saying violence is going to come to you, you will have no choice, you have to fight back.
Tommy Robinson didn't say that.
He was interviewing the guy.
If engaging with Elon Musk...
I might interview people that say abhorrent things.
And he was promoting the guy.
But you could make that argument about me, Bill. I could sit here and I could speak to some people like... in fact, I sat with a communist here who told me the most abhorrent things.
Robinson was applauding Musk.
OK, I want to bring Chloe in because she hasn't said anything. Go on, Chloe.
A couple of points. So, first of all, on Tommy Robinson's concerns about Islam and whatnot, what I would say is that he's been proven right about a lot of his concerns, but it's often very difficult to associate with him because he expresses himself in a more sort of inflammatory, shouty, sweary matter, which I don't think will bring across people who are, maybe in the middle ground. But second of all, with what Elon Musk said, I do think that it was sloppy language, but I don't think that
sloppy language?
I don't think that was...
It was an incitement to violence.
I don't think that was some sort of call to arms. I think what he was saying is warning is the left will continue to be violent if you allow them to be. And when he said fight back, I think he meant, we can't sort of stand down, allow them to just cause fascists and do nothing. And I don't mean a response with violence, I mean response with words. But he could have worded that a lot better.
Will, final word to you, because we've got to go shortly. Look, I really wanted this debate to talk about hypocrisy in politicians, because I think that's what really angers the public. They don't mind if you are fair and you have a hard when there's political violence or there's acts of violence against the police. They don't mind, right, when you come down fairly. But my whole point of this whole rant tonight is because I think there are hypocrisies. There's two-tier ways of treating people in society, and I don't like that. I think that causes division.
Well, the reason we haven't got to that is because Bill didn't have an answer to that. It is incontrovertible that there are two different approaches on this, and that is because that the left-leaning media and left-wing politicians in this country have a particular worldview that they need to keep spinning, and they want to make sure...
And Will, you and everyone on GB News has a particular worldview which is far apart from the reality.
Well, okay. I think the ratings on this channel would say differently.
All right, well, there we go. Moving on, because it's time for the Great British Giveaway now, and your chance to be the biggest prize winner with a package worth over 104 grand. That's a brand new motorhome and 30k in tax-free cash. Here's Haley Sparks with all your details.
It's our biggest, greatest Great British giveaway to date. Your chance to win a prize package worth over £104,000. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primero motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas, sky view roof light, and has all the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure any adventures in your motorhome are taken in style.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, good luck, everybody. Up next.
3.5 years ago, a long time ago now, but made the biggest mistake of my life.
The upcoming Strictly Come Dancing star Thomas Skinner has admitted to cheating on his wife just days after their wedding. But do cheaters deserve redemption? And come to think of it, do we have any right to know about Thomas Skinner's private life in the first place? That's next.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Well, in an emotional interview, Strictly Come Dancing star Thomas Skinner has admitted to cheating on his wife just days after they were married. The ex-Apprentice star told The Sun on Sunday that he'd had a 2-week fling with a beauty clinic boss that he met in a pub just 2 weeks after his 2022 wedding to his wife Sinead. Skinner branded the fling the biggest mistake of his life.
Happy Friday afternoon, you lovely, lovely people. Listen, guys.
Well, the East Londoner left school at 13, working as a market trader before he found fame on The Apprentice. But tonight, I'm asking, do cheaters deserve redemption? And does the public really have a right to know about Thomas Skinner's private life? We're now joined by the psychotherapist and broadcaster Lucy Beresford and the parenting and lifestyle expert Annette Gallo. Welcome, both of you, to the show. Annette, I'd like to start with you. Do you think, well, maybe let's start with the question, do you think cheaters deserve redemption?
Well, in the case of Thomas Skinner, he's been a very bad boy, and I personally think cheating is a choice. Nobody's holding a gun to anybody's head saying you have to do it. And if they do it, we know that 57% of men that cheat get away with it. So is it they got caught, or was it he really did feel bad? Now, there's a rumour that the other lady involved, Amy, says it was more than just a fling. So I think there's a few hurt parties involved here. But I just think, you know, he should have been on his honeymoon, not having hanky-panky down the beauty clinic.
Right, yeah, OK. Well, Lucy, I'll pass the same question over to you. What do you make of that?
I think we have to be realistic and recognise that people have affairs, and therefore what happens after that affair is revealed. The betrayal is the source of a great deal of hurt, a great deal of grief, a great deal of soul searching. But can the relationship be repaired? Can the primary relationship be repaired? And my contention is that it can, and that is because the couple can actually grow together, learn things about each other, learn what was missing in their primary relationship that led their relationship to be vulnerable to infidelity. Ashley Madison, the married dating website People, asked its members, why do you have affairs? What is actually contributing to this? And for a lot of people, the majority of people, nearly 60% of people said it wasn't about the sex. Everyone assumes affairs are just about sex. It's more about the emotional connection and about the way in which, in your primary relationship, certain needs are not being met. You don't feel heard, you don't feel appreciated. In fact, you sometimes feel taken for granted. And if that kind of conversation is allowed to come out as a result of the infidelity being revealed, there is the potential for actually a stronger primary relationship going forward. It's quite a messy way to bring that about, but better that than saying, right, one strike and you're out. If you have an affair, then that's over, because that's not very realistic in this day and age, particularly as we're living so much longer. I think if you lived to 35, 40, maybe 100 years ago, that was one thing. If you're living to 110, which, Alex, you know, your generation could easily live to 110, not necessarily mine.
Don't know if I want to, innit?
Are you really going to be with the same person for the entirety of your life?
Okay.
Or if there is some betrayal, can you survive it? Can the relationship survive?
I want to ask the question now. Should we even know this information? Is this stuff about people's private life affairs? We see it all the time in the media, don't we? And Thomas Skinner's only really just become sort of a much bigger star than he used to be. I mean, we all knew him from BBC Apprentice, but then he disappeared for a while. Now he's back. Is this just very, I guess, a bit sinister almost? And is this sinister, or should we be? Or should people in the spotlight expect to have their personal lives exposed?
Well, I think if you actually have a TikTok account with 500,000 people...
Lucy, give me 1 second. I just want to pass it over. I'll pass it over. Bear with me.
Yeah, I was going to say, Alex, did you not see his real tears? The crying moment? I mean, come on, there was a bit of performance going on there. But I do think, actually, with a lot of this stuff, you see it, somebody else was going to beat him to it. Nobody really knows, needed to know it. And I believe the other lady, Amy, was going to probably do a kiss and tell and make a whole load of cashola. And maybe then she should have said bosh at the end. But he beat her to it, because it's a very weird, strange thing to suddenly bring it out. And obviously his wife is now going to have to relive that, and it's incredibly embarrassing for her. I'm sure at the time it was very embarrassing, it being only a couple of weeks afterwards, and it must have been a very difficult decision for her, because they already had a 4-year-old then as well to think of. So I do feel like it's going to bring much hurt back round again, and I don't think it's going to be good for his publicity.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I find this is a very difficult one, Lucy, because, of course, people have a right to privacy, but when you do sort of thrust yourself into the eye of the spotlight, there is that unfortunate scrutiny everyone in the media seems to come under. It's not, obviously, Thomas Skinner won't be the first and he won't be the last.
Yes, and I think we have to think about the way in which he has presented himself. This isn't just about his strictly appearances. This is someone who has a TikTok account with over 500,000 followers. He presents himself very much as a family man, always talking about the Sunday roasts that he creates, which I have to say always look pretty impressive, but that's beside the point. Always parading his children, sitting in their high chairs. His wife is often there. So the image is, you know, I'm just this regular guy, I'm just this family man. And I think the people who love him and admire him, and there have been quite a few politicians who've been courting him in the last 6 months as well, this is a man whose brand is really on the ascendant. And there is definitely a sense in which if you do flirt with that kind of identity and make your life public, then you shouldn't really be surprised if other elements of that life come to light. And people may very well be very disappointed by that. Your question was, you know, do we have a right to know this? Well, he's a public figure, so it goes against the image that he's previously put out there.
Well, let's see if the public find some redemption in him, perhaps when he does Strictly. There we go. Well, Lucy Beresford and Annette Kello, thank you so much for joining me on that debate. Well, coming up, I'll be joined live in the studio by Polish MEP who marched side by side with Tommy Robinson at yesterday's Unite the Kingdom rally. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, if you're heading off to the Mediterranean, then there's plenty of dry, sunny and very warm weather on offer over the next few days. There may well be a few showers just moving into the far north of Portugal and the far north of Spain on Monday, but most of Iberia, dry, sunny and very warm, if not hot. The same across Italy, most of Greece, the Balkans and Turkey. Just one or two afternoon thunderstorms here and there. And the outlook is for it to stay pretty settled, dry and sunny for the vast majority and very warm indeed.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, low pressure dominates, bringing wet and windy conditions. We have a Met Office yellow wind warning in force for England and Wales this evening and overnight and into Monday. So low pressure dominates, moving its way eastwards through Sunday night and into Monday with some strong winds, so 60 to 70 miles per hour along the exposed coasts. The band of rain will continue to push its way through, mainly affecting northern parts of Scotland, clearer skies towards the south and east, but behind that, blustery showers across Northern Ireland, Northern England, Wales and the southwest, but a milder start to Monday compared to Sunday. So like I said, we still have that wind warning in force across England and Wales, but for Scotland, it's a damp start across the north. Lighter winds here though, and then across Northern Ireland to start Monday morning, showery, especially across northern parts of England as well, where it could be heavy at times. Best of the brightness really focused across East Anglia, the Midlands and the southeast to start the day. But inland, 45 to 55 miles per hour is possible across England and Wales, so take care, especially during rush hour. Otherwise, showers affecting Northern Ireland and merging to give longer spells of rain across Northern England, Northern Wales as well. Towards the south of that, some sunny breaks, but also blustery showers that will rattle through pretty quickly, highs of up to 18 or 19 degrees. To start Tuesday then, it's actually a much brighter start out there. The low pressure will shift its way eastwards, so we'll start to see lighter winds. There'll be a few showers around, mainly across a northern part of England. Bright skies towards the southeast before sunshine turns hazy later, and then we see the return of more wet and windy weather on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Well, the Prime Minister has condemned the violence against police at yesterday's Unite the Kingdom rally in central London. Writing on social media, Sir Keir Starmer said, "People have a right to peacefully protest. It's our core of our country's values, but we will not stand for assaults on police officers doing their job or for people feeling intimidated on our streets because of the colour of their skin or background. Britain is a nation proudly built on tolerance, diversity and respect. Our flag represents our diverse country and we will never surrender it to those that use it as a symbol of violence, fear and division." Well, to talk about that and more, I'm now joined by MEP Dominic Czarczynski, who was at the rally in, of course, yesterday.
Good evening.
Yeah,
good evening. Thank you very much for having me.
Well,
good evening.
Thank you. Look, so today, the press have been in absolute uproar. It's a massive... I was there yesterday filming some content for the channel here, talking to everyday Brits about why they were there, what's...
And we've got Prime Minister tweeting about it.
He's tweeting about it. Now, earlier on the show, I don't know if you heard, Dominic, but I was talking about other comparisons where Prime Minister hasn't tweeted. We had Notting Hill Carnival, which is mostly an Afro-Caribbean celebration.
And I've got data about it. Okay, so let's... Okay, so a carnival, that's very nice you mentioned it. Arrests, 528, weapons 46, sexual offences 18. And now United the Kingdom, arrests 25, weapons 0, sexual offences 0. I didn't see Prime Minister condemning this kind of actions. Why? So we know that this narrative about aggressive language, violence and all this, because I was watching your first part, it's the way to stop us demanding us, I mean Europeans, demanding Europe to be Europe. So they want to put us in a box of violence, racism, fascism and all that. I've been called a racist, I've been called Islamophobe, I've been called communist, I've been called Russian asset, I've been called paid by Mossad, I've been called all these names. Listen, they are all over the place. You know, whenever it fits them, you are a Mossad, Russian asset, fascist, Islamophobe, communist or whatever. So my message to the British patriots, from whatever background you come in, do not let them put you in a box. My reaction to Katie Newman when she interviewed me in 2018 with my 0 was, they can call me a pink elephant. I don't care. They can call me whatever they want. My goal is in front of me and I'm going to reach it. Our path is hard, but we have to do it. And what is our goal? Our goal is a great Christian Europe. Okay, what is it great? What is it Christian? Christian not only by our faith, but by our culture, but by our law. We do not want Sharia law. We do not want any other's law. We want European law. We want Greek philosophy, Roman law. We want to have Europe as a Europe. How simple is that? Where is violence? Where is violence?
Well, this is I mean, obviously, when you get such a massive protest like that, there's going to be some people that cause violence. It happens in every
protest. But then compare it with Carnival.
Exactly. And that's been the thing that's really upset me. Now, there's been a lot of criticism.
They are hypocrites. Don't let hypocrites call you and stop you from your actions. Demand whatever is needed, and it's a freedom of speech.
Well, Dominic, I want to ask you what you made of the Elon Musk appearing, because he's got the leader of the Liberal Democrats here in the United States. I don't know if you've heard of him. His name is a guy called Ed Davey. He slammed Elon Musk, and he's now asking all the political parties in the country to come together and say they don't want Elon Musk anywhere near the Britain.
Oh, that's freedom of speech again. So the man who doesn't need to, he doesn't need to do it. He's the richest man in the world. He does it because for him there are very important things around the world. He could sit somewhere on a private island doing nothing. But he's different.
Well, Dominic, do you know what they said? Because this is the line that they're going to. So this is the line. They said basically that he was inciting violence. It's something along the lines of if there's violence that's coming to you, whether you like it or not, you've got to decide to fight back. I think that was along the lines of what he was.
Well, you can
make of that. Okay, you can inciting violence.
Of course, you can let them kill you. If someone is trying to kill you and they are actually killing us, I mean, conservatives, Republicans, far right, I am very far right. My far right is so far as my love to my family, because my actions as a politician are the actions to protect my family in the future. So I am very far as my love. So if someone will try to hurt my family, I'm going to be very, very aggressive. I'm going to defend it. I'm going to use force as a man. It's time to be a man. Stop wearing dresses. Put an armor. Be a man. So this is not a slogan. This is a fact. Whole wokeness and the woke culture made us weak.
Yeah,
and we have to stop that.
Dominic, what it is that there's many politicians in the country now. I mean, we're getting this. We're talking about rhetoric a lot since Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
Right.
We've been talking about that a lot, and people are worried when we hear things like that that they feel that people are going to take up arms. That's what they think, and I think the message should use your voice.
Of course not. You can see the difference of the reactions around the world where Charlie was killed. People are praying.
Yeah.
There is no violence because that would be against Christianity. That's number one. That would be against his stand on dialogue. That would be against all his legacy. So the difference between us and them, we are not violent.
Can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
Make Europe great again. We've heard that word used quite a lot. It's obviously imported from MAGA, Make America Great Again. What does that mean to you?
It means to be proud, to be strong, to be brave, to be open for a future, not closed for some small leftist bubble. Do not let destroy family. They destroy manhood. They destroy your attitude as a man who is responsible for your life, for the life of your family. They are destroying basic values. So what we have to fight? We have to fight for a basic right to say that woman is a woman, man is a man, family is a mother and a father. That is family. That's what I say because that's normal. The rest is not normal. That's it.
And Dominic, one final question, if you don't mind. What do you think has gone wrong with Britain that we have these massive rallies? Because we didn't used to have these rallies in the past. Why is it happening now?
Well, the fact that you have rallies and that millions are gathering is a good thing. Because democracy, that's the part of the democracy. The problem is reaction. The Prime Minister condemning these small things, really. To me, it's a part of dark side of democracy. And Prime Minister is with his finger. I don't like that, right? You do have a right. Law enforcement is in place, is in power. That's fine. But what is wrong? The wrong is that people who are coming here illegally, they are fit in a beautiful, expensive hotels, and people in Ealing Broadway and other places do not have money to pay their bills. That's simple. That's very simple. It has to be stopped. This madness will be stopped by conservatives. It will be stopped by people of common sense, and Great Britain will be great again.
Dominic Tarczynski, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure.
Come back again soon.
I will do.
Come back again soon. Well, coming up, his death has rocked the sporting world. I'll be looking back on the life of British boxing legend Ricky the Hitman Hatton.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, welcome back to a very fiery show tonight. Well, of course, we have to turn it down a little bit here because there's been some tragic news today, of course. Ricky Hatton, the British boxing legend, has passed away, aged just 46 years old. It sent shockwaves throughout the sporting world. He was found dead at his home in Greater Manchester earlier today. Hatton won world titles in lightweight, light welterweight, and, of course, this all-action star, making one of the most popular British fighters of all time. And now joined by the boxing commentator and author of Death of a Boxer, Pete Carville. Pete, thank you so much for joining me. A very sad day for the boxing world, Pete, because Hatton, a young man, very, very young man. It's very shocking to see. He's such a British icon at the same time. What's been the reaction?
It certainly has been a sad day. Thank you for having me on tonight. I mean, the reaction has been one of shock. I got the news at lunchtime this afternoon. I was out having dinner somewhere and someone texted me, "Have you heard the news about Ricky Hatton?" And I was like, my God. And then my reaction is not a unique one. If you look around the whole boxing industry, everyone's been in absolute shock and amazement that this could happen to Ricky, and especially at such a young age. I mean, if there was anyone that deserved to grow old peacefully, it was Ricky Hatton.
Tributes flooding in all over the world for Hatton. One question that people have been asking me, so which I don't know the answer to, Pete, perhaps you can help us. He had this phrase, the hitman. Why did he get that tag, the hitman?
Well, there's two stories behind that one. Firstly, many people thought that he got the name from Thomas the Hitman Hearns, who was one of the great welterweights of the 1980s. But Hatton himself said that when he first went to the boxing gym at the age of 10, he was hitting a bag and someone went past and went, "Look at him, he's lethal. He's a little hitman." And that's where the name came from. But as a name, as a boxing nickname, it was absolutely perfect for him. He went out and he absolutely battered people to the body. He knocked out opponent after opponent, and he was not a guy that was content to win on points throughout his career. He was very happy just to go in and fight, and that's what people loved him for. Because you always knew for Ricky Hatton fight that you were getting some action, and this was not a guy who was just content just to, coast his way to an easy point to win. He went in and he fought because he knew that everyone paying for a ticket to watch him had worked hard to get the money to get that ticket, and that's why the British public loved him. He was an icon. I mean, it's a word that's thrown around a lot nowadays, and it's a word that's thrown around quite easily. But I was thinking this afternoon that if you look at Hatton's career and what came before it, no British boxer was taking 20,000 people to Las Vegas for their fights. It just wasn't something that ever happened. And okay, people travel a little bit now to watch fighters like Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua when they fight in Saudi Arabia or New York or Las Vegas. But it was Hatton that really started that movement of people travelling long distances to see him. And that's one of the things that's really going to be his legacy moving forwards.
Indeed, Pete. And, of course, he was planning to come out of retirement, in the near future, I believe. What was the reaction to him coming out of retirement, and what sort of things were we expecting to see from Hatton?
To be honest, I was working for The Independent and DAZN when that comeback was announced a couple of months ago, and I said in a column at the time that I didn't think it was going to go ahead, and I think many people were very, very uneasy about it. Hatton has died today, he's aged 46. He would have been 47 by the time he'd gone into the ring in Dubai, which is where the fight was meant to be held. But the fight was also meant to be held at middleweight, which was 20 pounds above his normal fighting weight, and the chap he was fighting was also 47, so it wasn't really an important fight, and it wasn't a big fight. It did have the air about it of a man who was maybe struggling a little bit to find something in his life after retiring from being a professional boxer.
Yeah, and of course he famously struggled with his mental health and some drug addictions. How do we think that affected him in his later life?
I don't want to say so much because I never knew Ricky personally. We brushed shoulders a handful of times, but I do know that many athletes, once they retire at the age of 38, 39, 40, which is actually an older age than Ricky was when he retired, they do struggle to find meaning in their lives. And Hatton was still involved in boxing for many, many years in many different guises as coach, trainer, promoter, manager. He guided the whole new generation of people to titles and to professional success, but it can't have been easy for him. And we saw that he had been to rehab, he had suffered from mental health problems. I think what's important now is not to speculate on how Ricky Hatton died, but really just look at the legacy he leaves behind and the memories he's given so many millions of people across the UK over the last 20, 25 years.
And Pete, a final question to you. Do we expect the planned events that he was going to take part in to be continued, or do we expect those to no longer go ahead entirely?
I doubt they'll go ahead. I doubt they're ever going to take place in the first place before his unfortunate passing. I don't think we'll see them.
Yeah, and he was a big Manchester City fan, wasn't he, too? Well, he had a big connection to that football club there. Tell us about that, Pete.
Sure. So Ricky Hatton, his father Ray, I think, had trials at Manchester City, and Ricky and his brother Matthew were huge Manchester City fans, and that was why Ricky always wore the blue and the white going into the ring, and he came into Blue Moon each time. And back in 2008, I think it was, after he lost to Floyd Mayweather, his first comeback fight was at the City of Manchester Stadium. And he came out to the Blue Moon and he filled it with 55,000 people. And that's not, that's an incredible achievement for a man who was coming off a loss in 9 rounds. To come back and to do that, those 55,000 tickets was amazing. And, he was Manchester through and through. I mean, if you looked at the interior of his house, it was all in the Man City colours. No, sorry.
No, I was going to say, indeed. And he's also got his son, Campbell Hatton, as well, also a boxer, I believe, Pete.
Campbell's retired now. He retired about 6 months ago after a couple of losses. But I think Matthew Hatton, his brothers, are still a coach in the game, and I think he's got some nephews that are coming through that look quite promising.
All right, well, Pete, thank you so much for joining Pete Carville there. Thank you, boxing commentator and author of Death of a Boxer. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll just read out one of your comments here on gbnews.com/yours. Richard says, Dominic, this is talking about their previous guest, Dominic is the kind of person that needs to be prolific in the EU before it deteriorates any further. They are being threatened and excluded at a very high rate. We need this kind of person here. We are seeing this now across Europe, aren't we? We're seeing more of these stronger conservative voices politicians, and I think it's in response to the dilapidation of the continent, the dilapidation of the states we live in, the dilapidation of our democracies. People are suffering all across Europe. We can't be a little bit insular here in the UK because we are separate to the continent, but I think when you actually look at what's going on in those countries, look at Germany, you look at France, and you go over there, many people go over to those countries, I've been over there myself, and you look around and you go, what is going on there? How has it got this bad? And I think people like Dominic, who have been very, very big voices in the EU for a while now, but perhaps not as prolific as they are today, are finally finding their voice. Anyway, do you remember this?
We change our plan, not changing the conversation. Change and reform are coming.
And what we got instead, eh? Scandal after scandal, resignation after resignation. I'll explain why it's time for the Prime Minister to go. All of that and more, and tomorrow's newspaper front pages in just a few moments.
Expect
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, low pressure dominates, bringing wet and windy conditions. We have a Met Office yellow wind warning in force for England and Wales this evening and overnight and into Monday. So low pressure dominates, moving its way eastwards through Sunday night and into Monday with some strong winds, so 60 to 70 miles per hour along the exposed coasts. The band of rain will continue to push its way through, mainly affecting northern parts of Scotland, clearest skies towards the south and east, but behind that, blustery showers across Northern Ireland, Northern England, Wales and the southwest, but a milder start to Monday compared to Sunday. So like I said, we still have that wind warning in force across England and Wales, but for Scotland, it's a damp start across the north. Lighter winds here though, and then across Northern Ireland to start Monday morning, showery, especially across northern parts of England as well, where it could be heavy at times. Best of the brightness really focused across East Anglia, the Midlands and the southeast to start the day. But inland, 45 to 55 miles per hour is possible across England and Wales, so take care, especially during rush hour. Otherwise, showers affecting Northern Ireland and merging to give longer spells of rain across Northern England, Northern Wales as well. Towards the south of that, some sunny breaks, but also blustery showers that will rattle through pretty quickly, highs of up to 18 or 19 degrees. To start Tuesday then, it's actually a much brighter start out there. The low pressure will shift its way eastwards, so we'll start to see lighter winds. There'll be a few showers around, mainly across a northern part of England. Bright skies towards the southeast before sunshine turns hazy later, and then we see the return of more wet and windy weather on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's our biggest Great British giveaway to date. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas and has all of the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that any adventures you take in your new motorhome are taken in style. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday Five.
You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
It's 10 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight,
We change our plan, not changing the conversation. Change and reform are coming.
well, he promised you changed. He promised you he'd clean up politics. He promised you integrity. But instead, all you've received is more of the same, if not worse. How can the PM hang on after defending Mandelson? And has he lied to the entire country? Is it time for Keir to go? And Prince Harry says he regrets nothing. The gauntlet has been thrown down to Prince William after Harry does a tell-all interview with The Guardian. I honestly do not know how he's going to come back from this one. Plus, Rachel Reeves is now Keir Starmer's personal human shield and bad news puppet after the PM humiliates the Chancellor by promoting her junior in his own budget and economics advisors. Is Rachel Reeves Chancellor in name only? And breaking news tonight, Channel migrants will be returned tomorrow. The Telegraph reports that they'll be deported by Air France passenger flights as part of the one-in, one-out deal. It's a major moment for this Labour government. It could make or break it. Also a huge debate this evening. Bobby's on the beat to get guns. A secret Met Police report has revealed call to arms for police officers with handguns. But Scotland Yard chiefs reject the call, insisting Britain's tradition of policing by consent must come first. What do you reckon? Would you feel safer if you knew cops had arms? Elsewhere, on my panel tonight, it's political commentator Chloe Dobbs, GB News contributor Will Kingston, and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. And do you think the Overton window is now shifting?
The most alarming aspect of the event was just how normal the vast majority of the marchers were. I spent an hour or two amongst them, and my own impression was that they were mostly the sort of people you'd meet in a country pub or in half-time queue for the loo at football or at a concert.
What do you think? Sky News may be a little bit scared of GB News? Anyway, your Sunday night starts right here.
Good evening, I'm Bethany Elsey with your top stories from the GB newsroom. The former world boxing champion Ricky Hatton has been found dead at his home in Greater Manchester. He was 46. Police say they're not treating his death as suspicious. Hatton won world titles at light welterweight and welterweight, but it was also his down-to-earth personality that made him one of the most popular British boxers. Hitman, as he was known throughout his career, had a number of iconic fights against Costa Tszyu, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. After retiring, he'd spoken openly about his struggles with mental health and drug addiction, but he was due to make a comeback this December. Channel migrants entering the UK illegally are set to be deported on Air France passenger flights this week. The Telegraph reports the arrangements for the flights have already been agreed and could be as early as Monday. The asylum seekers are expected to be escorted by contracted Home Office security staff on commercial flights rather than a chartered aircraft. The one-in, one-out returns deal with France will see the UK accept approved asylum seekers in return. The Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, has accused the Prime Minister of lying to Parliament over what he knew about Peter Mandelson's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. It's emerged Keir Starmer was given a report detailing the peer's relationship with the convicted paedophile before he was named ambassador to the US. But Downing Street says he was economical with the truth before his appointment. Peter Mandelson was sacked on Thursday after emails he sent to Epstein were published. Donald Trump's top diplomat has reissued his concern over Israel's attack on Hamas inside Qatar as he starts a two-day visit to the Middle East. The US Secretary of State Marco Rubio prayed at the Western Wall in Jerusalem alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Rubio said the US president was not happy with the airstrike on Qatar, which killed 5 members of Hamas, but that will not change the alliance between the two countries. It's understood the suspect accused of killing the activist Charlie Kirk is not cooperating with police. Utah's Governor Spencer James Cox told NBC News 22-year-old Tyler Robinson was in a relationship with his roommate, who was in the process of transitioning. He added the partner is being incredibly cooperative and had no idea the shooting was going to happen. Charlie Kirk, who co-founded the conservative student movement Turning Point USA, regularly expressed anti-LGBTQ views, but authorities say the motive for the attack is still unclear. And Prince Harry has said he has no regrets about speaking out against his family in his memoir Spare, saying his conscience is clear. Speaking to The Guardian during a visit to Ukraine, which followed several days in the UK, Harry insisted his autobiography was a series of corrections to stories already out there. After reuniting with the King in their first face-to-face meeting in more than a year, the Duke of Sussex also hinted at a return to the UK, saying he'd like to spend more time here. You're up to date. I'll have more for you in an hour.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong Tonight. Well, do you know what time it is, Keir?
It's time to go!
Yes, this government has been little short of catastrophic for the United Kingdom. Economic instability and ruin, civil unrest, political divisiveness, two-tier policing and judiciary. And yet, the Prime Minister has managed to cling on by the splinters of his throne. This is what he promised you.
We change our plan, not changing the conversation. Change and reform are coming. Fixing the foundations, change. A £22 billion black hole of change. Fixing the foundations, change.
What have you got instead? Scandal after scandal, resignation after resignation. His Transport Secretary, Louise Hay, had to resign over allegations that she lied to the police. That's despite her claiming that she told the Prime Minister everything about the case. Then, new information came to light and he sacked her. His corruption minister had to resign over allegations of corruption, nonetheless. Of course, the Prime Minister didn't sack her immediately. It was only after new evidence came to light that he had to take the action necessary. His Housing Secretary and Deputy Prime Minister, whom he gave his full support and confidence to, also sacked when new evidence emerged over her tax affairs on her third place of residence.
She has explained her personal circumstances in detail. She's gone over and above in setting out the details, including Mr. Speaker, yesterday afternoon, asking a court to lift a confidentiality order in relation to her own son. I know from speaking at length to the Deputy Prime Minister just how difficult that decision was for her and her family. But she did it to ensure that all information is in the public domain. She has now referred herself to the independent adviser. That is the right thing to do.
Well, we now know that Rayner had commissioned, and we know now that he knew this as well, that Rayner commissioned independent legal advice because of doubts about her tax affairs well before her, quote, resignation. Maybe he just thought we'd all just forget about it before she was exposed by the free press. So much for integrity and cleaning up politics, Keir. Let's also not forget the Chancellor, somehow still clinging on, who's also allegedly lied on her CV, as well as Keir Starmer's now Chief Whip, who was also accused of doing the same. Now, the latest government sacking comes in the form of previously twice sacked Peter Mandelson. This time over his vile emails to prolific paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. In those emails, Mandelson confessed his love for Epstein and claimed he'd never faced the same legal action over his charges of child sexual assault in the United Kingdom. Well, the Prime Minister gave missed full support in PMQs this week, despite the fact that Downing Street had reportedly received the email correspondence between the two men.
Mr. Speaker, let me start by saying the victims of Epstein are the forefront of our minds. He was a despicable criminal who committed the most heinous crimes and destroyed the lives of so many women and girls. The Ambassador has repeatedly expressed his deep regret for his association with him. He's right to do so. I have confidence in him, and he's playing an important role in the UK-US relationship.
Well, the Prime Minister is now facing claims of lying to the entire country by the Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Badenoch, and even misleading Parliament over this scandal. But regardless of whether those charges are true, who on earth in this country wants a man with such awful political and personal judgment running our country? How can any honest, hard-working British person take moral lectures from a Prime Minister who thinks supporting Mandelson over his emails to a paedophile and has spent years claiming as the moral integrity of a saint, when actually it seems he may be willing to defend the indefensible and even may be willing to lie to all of you? How can we accept that? How can he still cling on to power? Well, in the words uttered to Neville Chamberlain, I say to you, Prime Minister Keir Starmer, depart and let us be done with you in the name of God. Go. Well, let me introduce my fantastic panel here tonight. I've got political commentator Chloe Dobbs, GB News contributor Will Kingston, and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Bill, I'll start with you. You know, the Prime Minister had called for so many resignations over his time in office, in opposition, should I say. Boris Johnson over many things as well. He called for Boris to resign over many things. At this point in time, Bill, it looks so difficult for the Prime Minister to cling on to power. I mean, how can he, after all that high moral grandstanding he did, all that promise of change, promise of integrity, promise of cleaning up politics, now be the man to say, I'm going to deliver that promise to you?
Well, let's look at the facts and what's actually happened. The Prime Minister actually has set a higher standard for ministers in terms of public conduct. He's given the ability for the Commissioner for Standards to investigate cases independently. That's a significant change. And the key difference from this government to the last government is that when wrongdoing is found to have happened, the Prime Minister does something about it. All the cases you have listed, you know, they were investigated, the evidence and the facts were found out, and he then sacked that individual. Under the Conservatives, and let's go back to when Priti Patel was found guilty of the highest standards by the Commissioner for Standards, Boris Johnson just ignored that and allowed her to carry on in office. That is the change that has happened.
Bill, the theme that Alex just drew out there is that he's done absolutely everything possible to avoid making that decision before it becomes inevitable pressure from the media or from the Conservatives, or more likely from Reform. It was the new evidence comes to light in each instance where finally he had to actually make a stand. And I think it's probably because, to your point, Alex, the man has no political instinct whatsoever, so he outsources these decisions to Morgan McSweeney. That takes time, and their pressure builds and builds and builds, and as a result of that, it just becomes inevitable. But let's not grandstand and say that these are moral judgments. Each of them has been done because it is inevitable and because there is pressure from the media.
And Chloe?
I don't think that just saying that Keir Starmer's dismissed people quicker than would happen in the Conservatives lets them off the hook.
No, not quicker. It didn't happen under the Conservatives. People were found guilty by the Commission of Standards.
I'll just say this because I want to pass it back, because I will say this. I don't hold the Tories as a bastion of a good example of this, by the way. I think they were absolutely horrific in the last governments, and they completely let the country down. I want to make that very, very clear. But what I was trying to point out was that there has been this many scandals, and particularly with the Mandelson case, when they had the emails before PMQs, and he still gave his false... They did. We've got the reports of that now. And they still went out to bat for him, Bill. It's not fair.
I think you can make a fair criticism that Keir sometimes takes too long in making a decision, but they got the summary of the emails for the first time on Tuesday. Through the Foreign Office, they went to Mandelson saying, we want context and detail, and you give us the full emails. They did not get the full email until Wednesday evening. The Prime Minister convened a meeting at that stage with the Foreign Secretary and the Chief Whip, and Mandelson was dismissed.
Look, but I mean, Bill, even if you're right, and I'm seeing mixed timelines in different articles, so it is hard to know for sure, they knew so much about Peter Mandelson having links to Jeffrey Epstein before they got all of those emails out, which I think would have disqualified him for the job in the first place. And also, they knew before PMQs that you had Peter Mandelson. He did that interview with Harry Cole where he says more stuff is likely to come to light. So for Keir Starmer that PMQs was a car crash for him. It was embarrassing. It was painful to watch, to be honest, seeing him squirming there trying to defend a man that clearly there was so much dirt on. And what they did is they appointed this guy because they thought, although he's got links to Epstein, we're just worried about this relationship with Trump. So we want to have someone who's experienced. They picked him. But what terrible judgment of them to think that this wasn't all going to come to light and blow up in a huge scandal.
They didn't know this detail when he was appointed. And,
They knew he had
commentators across the spectrum have actually said that Mandelson has been a good ambassador in terms of the impact he's had on the relationship with the US at a time when we critically needed it. But if the Prime Minister had known the detail of this when he appointed him, he clearly wouldn't have done that.
Well, he knew that Mandelson was scandal-plagued. He'd resigned or been sacked from several jobs in the past as a result of this. He knew Mandelson's character and he basically chose him anyway when there would have been plenty of suitable candidates. Surely that says that principle and moral clarity takes a back seat to the political machinations within the Labor Party.
This is the problem, Bill, right, is that Peter Carter went out today and he said Mandelson was worth the risk. I think that's extremely poor political judgment and astuteness to say that in public, first of all. But you look at the Prime Minister's track record, and again, this is a man who claimed he was going to clean up politics, claimed he was going to sit on integrity. Sue Gray, immediately out the bag, accused of corruption, alleged corruption, should I say. Lord Ali on the Allygate stuff. I mean, when I say Sue Gray, I'm talking about the security access passes to Downing Street, which is one of the things that brought her down. Lord Ali on the Freebiegate. Then we had recently one of his housing ministers making some homelessness ministers making people homeless, corruption minister resigning for corruption. The problem I've got, Bill, is that a lot of the crumbs were already there with some of these people. Not always, but some of the cases they were. And yet the Prime Minister proceeded with the appointments. It doesn't look good for a man who said, I've got the integrity to lead the country. And he did sit on a high horse. He did. And listen, if you don't sit on a high horse, it's very hard for me to say to you, you could be held accountable. But he did.
That's the Boris strategy.
I don't think Keir Starmer ever said there's not going to be any Labour minister who breaches good standards. Yeah. It happens, people are human beings, it happens under all governments. The key is how you deal with it when it happens. And whilst I would criticise Keir for sometimes taking a bit longer than he should in reaching these decisions, in every single instance, he's ended up sacking the person.
But also look at his policy decisions as well, Bill. You look at how many more U-turns. He had all that time in opposition to get his act together and go, here's how we're going to change the country. And look at the U-turns he's had to do as a result. Winter fuel allowance was an absolute disaster. It's not politically astute.
Some of those U-turns have been very welcome, like the winter fuel allowance.
They are welcome, but they should be made in the first place.
Where the decision shouldn't have been made in the first place. Yeah. And I do think, your sort of headline for this was, is it terminal for the Prime Minister? I don't think it is, necessarily. Okay. I think he's in a serious position. What he's got to get on and do is deliver in terms of the boats, in terms of the National Health Service, and in terms of growth of the economy. But as importantly, project a political narrative to describe that, because you can be doing all the right things, but if you're not communicating effectively, none of it cuts through.
I doubt he's going to do those things, but I would actually agree that I don't think he's going to disappear that quickly, because now that Angela Rayner is gone, there is not an obvious successor. And we saw this with Theresa May clinging on for 2 years after, when her her
political time was up.
From 2017 to 2019, her reputation was in tatters, but there wasn't a clear successor. And now that Angela Rayner's gone, there isn't one.
Well, Andy Burnham's a man whose name's been thrown about quite a lot in the press the last 48 hours. I mean, we hear he's got a campaign group set up now, that he's feeling out seats that might be available to him because he smells blood in the water. So is Keir Starmer just a lame duck?
Well, yes, he is, and I think Andy Burnham smells blood in the water partly because of performance and partly because there are no obvious successors after Angela Rayner has been put to the back bench. Like, the reality is, I think there are significant problems around Starmer. I think he is a very weak leader, but the policy settings of this Labor government are diametrically opposed to the solutions that you actually need to solve the big problems in this country, particularly on immigration and the economy. So the leader won't make much difference to that unless they're willing to change their fundamental ideology, and they're obviously not willing to do that.
Yeah, Bill, I mean, it does seem to me, and I think many people will feel that the Prime Minister's time is up and that he's actually sort of hanging in there now, at least so to speak. Maybe you'll make a run for back in Parliament, Bill, perhaps?
No. Look,
you come back, the leadership to the party?
The reality is progress is being made. You know, you're covering it on the news. We've got the first returns to France taking place tomorrow.
We're going to talk about that.
Wages have outstripped prices for the first time in 14 years. We've had 3 trade deals bringing benefits to British people. But I acknowledge that the Prime Minister and the government has got to make further progress and describe how that progress is taking place. And I actually would say that the Prime Minister's got to the elections next May. And if we're not in a significantly better position, then I think, who knows?
Who knows? Well, listen, I want what's best for the country. And if the Prime Minister can deliver for Britain, I will welcome it. You know, that's all we want. We just want the Britain to succeed, don't we, at the end of the day? We should welcome that no matter which politician's in power. But anyway, time for the Great British Giveaway now. Your chance to win and be our biggest winner with a massive package prize worth over 104k, a brand new motorhome and 30k in tax-free cash. Here's Hayley Sparks with all the details.
It's our biggest, greatest Great British giveaway to date. Your chance to win a prize package worth over £104,000. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primero motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas, sky view roof light, and has all the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure any adventures in your motorhome are taken in style.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, coming up,
£22 billion black hole.
The £22 billion black hole of £22 billion.
Well, it's 50 billion now, isn't it? There are massive questions tonight over the future of Chancellor Rachel Reeves. I'll reveal all in just a few minutes.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
She's got it all wrapped up, hasn't she?
Yeah, £2,000 worth of gifts all set to go under the tree. I admire people who go out to the Christmas Eve and buy all their presents.
Oh, it's hellish. It's hellish.
Have you done that?
I have done it once or twice, yeah.
Oh, dear.
So you have to buy for so many people, the dog, the cat, your partner. I mean, honestly.
It's never ending.
Never ending.
I've tried stockpiling before, and then when it comes to Christmas Eve, I'd get everything out thinking I've got loads and loads and loads. And I feel like I haven't got enough, and then I end up panic buying.
I like the whole festive period. It's my birthday 2 weeks before Christmas, so I like doing the shopping when the trees are up and the lights are out, and it's like, you know, proper Christmas vibe to it. It just feels wrong doing it so far in advance.
So you're Sagittarius?
Yeah.
What day do you? I'm the 16th.
I'm just before you. I'm the 11th.
Oh.
That's my granny's birthday.
I know.
Nice date. Yeah. Do you like to shop physically in person in the shops? Would you do it online?
Normally, all year round, I absolutely loathe shopping, absolutely loathe it with a passion. But I do like Christmas shopping. I like buying stuff for other people.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And toys for your husband.
And toys for my husband. Yeah, we're talking about Christmas toys as well, weren't we, earlier on?
Yeah.
And the thing I was saying to Biggins is about sort of like buying toys for grown men.
Yes.
But my husband is at that age now where he's reliving his past, and I want to buy him the little toys he couldn't afford when he was a kid.
So what sort of toys are we talking?
Little cars he couldn't... Not that. No, don't go back to that conversation.
What, like electric?
Little cars he couldn't afford when he was a little boy. There were little Tonka toys. And
Yeah,
I
hot
bought
rods.
them when I was a kid. I had second
Is it Hot Wheels?
Yeah.
Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels.
Hot rods.
Hot rods.
Hot rods.
Hot Wheels.
Carry on up GB News breakfast this morning.
Yeah.
Hot rods are the big racing cars, aren't they?
Yeah, very big.
Hot Wheels.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong tonight. Now, there are questions over the Chancellor Rachel Reeves' credibility tonight after reports emerged that the Prime Minister has apparently lost confidence in her. According to the Daily Express, the Prime Minister has assembled his own economic team in number 10 with the appointment of a chief economic advisor confirmed earlier this month. Labour insiders told the paper that Rachel Reeves is, quote, Chancellor in name only. Although Starmer feels unable to sack her, having previously promised that she'd be in the role for a very long time to come. I think he even mentioned it would be the entire term of this Parliament. Well, let's get the thoughts of my panel. Chloe Dobbs, Will Kingston, Bill Rammell, all here tonight to join me on this discussion. Bill, I have to start with you because, of course, you've been in government. You're a former Labour minister yourself. This kind of reshuffle, because Darren Jones obviously was he was somewhat a junior to Rachel Reeves in the Treasury. He's now Keir Starmer's right-hand man, by the looks of things. He's sort of the second chief of staff, so to speak, on the policy side. And now he's got his own economic team. This is quite embarrassing, isn't it, for a chance? I think it's humiliating, to say the least.
No, I don't think it is. And look, all prime ministers have economic advisors in number 10. And, you know, there are sometimes tensions between those advisors and the Chancellor. You know, go back through history, go back to Alan Walters and Margaret Thatcher, and that actually brought down Nigel Lawson, or Lawson resigned because of it. So all Prime Ministers have had their own economic advisors. But the lesson I take from history is that Prime Ministers and Chancellors who aren't wedded together ultimately fail. And, you know, some of the criticisms that have been made, like the winter fuel allowance, well, Keir Starmer was every bit as responsible for that decision as Rachel Reeves. And I think they will sink or swim together. Now, there is progress that's being made, and I listed some of it. You know, wages going ahead of prices, 3 excellent trade deals, but we need more growth, and the Prime Minister and Chancellor have got to work together to achieve that.
Growth is zero and inflation's up, and that's going to hurt the
bottom line. We've still across the board got the best growth rate in the G7 at the moment.
Which is such a sleight of hand, because you're starting from an anaemic growth rate, whereas the other countries are starting from better positions. And, you know, basically, if you're starting from a low baseline, comparing it to other countries isn't actually the right indicator.
Will, there's an economic growth problem across the globe for a variety of reasons. And, you know, politicians who claim that we can be separated and apart from that are really
I want to move away from the economics because I want to get back to Rachel Reeves, because this is the story, right? This is the story that she's being shunned. I think the Darren Jones appointment, to me, is more damning than this economics advisor, this chief economics advisor, because basically what the Prime Minister is saying is I don't trust Rachel Reeves to give me the information I need to make policy decisions that are actually going to help the country grow. He's assembled this blue Labour group of MPs as well that are, you know, basically Blairites, because he feels the left have held him ransom. It's not a good look. I understand what Bill's saying, but I don't think you can spin it. I think whatever way you want to tell the story, this is embarrassing for Rachel Reeves.
It is embarrassing for Rachel Reeves, and it shows that Keir Starmer's government as a whole is in absolute chaos, that he's having to do all of this, all this chair shuffling. I don't think this is just a reset at the start of phase 2, as he likes to call it. I'll agree with Bill that the Chancellor and the Prime Minister are always going to be wedded together. If it's the case that Keir Starmer is doing this so that he can draw a separation between himself and Rachel Reeves' policies, that's not going to work. If the autumn budget is a disaster, Keir Starmer goes down with her. And Liz Truss learnt her lesson with this. Liz Truss thought, I can just throw my Chancellor under the bus and I can blame him, but it didn't work, did it? Because everyone knows they make their decisions hand in hand.
Sorry, where is your evidence that Liz Truss has learnt any lesson from anything?
Sorry, okay.
I think that's a distraction. None of these games make a jot.
give you that.
None of these games make a jot of difference. The problem is not the personnel, even if it is woeful. The problem is the party. They only understand how to tax, and we are taxed out in this country. They don't understand how to grow an economy because that requires lowering taxation and that requires lowering regulation, and that's against their DNA. And they certainly won't lower spending because the loonies on their backbench won't accept it. The only lever they have is raising taxes.
And the loonies on the right claim that lowering taxes bring economic growth, and over the decades that's not proven to be true.
Do you think you can tax your way to growth, Bill?
You need taxation to deliver decent public services. That's what people voted for at the general election.
OK, listen. Well, I mean, we could really get into this debate now, couldn't we? We could really get. But listen, we've got to move on because well, look at this.
I would love reconciliation with my family.
Oh, Prince Harry's wish came true this week after he met his father for the first time in 19 months. But shortly, I'll be joined by Charlotte Griffiths and get me this big royal scoop here, who's going to reveal why William is more determined than ever to cut Harry out of his life. And also, I might just add, Harry has said he regrets nothing about what he's done. That's next.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, low pressure dominates, bringing wet and windy conditions. We have a Met Office yellow wind warning in force for England and Wales this evening and overnight and into Monday. So low pressure dominates, moving its way eastwards through Sunday night and into Monday with some strong winds, so 60 to 70 miles per hour along the exposed coasts. The band of rain will continue to push its way through, mainly affecting northern parts of Scotland, clearest skies towards the south and east, but behind that, blustery showers across Northern Ireland, Northern England, Wales and the southwest, but a milder start to Monday compared to Sunday. So like I said, we still have that wind warning in force across England and Wales, but for Scotland, it's a damp start across the north. Lighter winds here though, and then across Northern Ireland to start Monday morning, showery, especially across northern parts of England as well, where it could be heavy at times. Best of the brightness really focused across East Anglia, the Midlands and the southeast to start the day. But inland, 45 to 55 miles per hour is possible across England and Wales, so take care, especially during rush hour. Otherwise, showers affecting Northern Ireland and merging to give longer spells of rain across Northern England, Northern Wales as well. Towards the south of that, some sunny breaks, but also blustery showers that will rattle through pretty quickly, highs of up to 18 or 19 degrees. To start Tuesday then, it's actually a much brighter start out there. The low pressure will shift its way eastwards, so we'll start to see lighter winds. There'll be a few showers around, mainly across northern parts of England. Bright skies towards the southeast before sunshine turns hazy later, and then we see the return of more wet and windy weather on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong Tonight. Well, Prince Harry has lashed out at claims he aired his dirty laundry in public with his TV interviews and his book Spare. Could you believe he thought that's... Anyway, we go. Speaking to The Guardian during his trip to Ukraine earlier this week, the Duke of Sussex claimed that his, quote, conscience is clear before he jetted off to the Ukraine. Harry was in London this week where he met his father for the first time in 19 months. Of course, his father is the king, let's just remind that. But writing in the Mail on Sunday today, royal expert Charlotte Griffiths has revealed why Prince Harry shouldn't expect a meeting with his brother, Prince William, any time soon. Well, I'm now joined by the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths herself. Charlotte, thank you so much for joining me. So my panel's also with me, so they may want to ask you some questions too. But we're really fascinated by this story because, of course, you're writing there, Charlotte, about why tensions between the two brothers may not be repaired. I'd love to hear that story first before we get on to the stuff he said more recently.
Yes, well, long story short, I was told this week by somebody who would know that William is back at the point where he would throw somebody out of the room if they brought up the name Harry in his presence. The background to this is that William, of course, when this all kicked off 5-6 years ago, was incensed and full of rage. And at one point, actually, he was very sad and he was grieving for his brother. But then he got to the point for quite a long time now where he was indifferent and he considered Harry what the royal family call a non-person, which was a classic phrase coined by the Queen Mother, which means somebody who just doesn't get mentioned in front of working members of the royal family. They're so beneath contempt that they are just exiled from the conversation, a non-person. Wow. And William was quite comfortable in this zone, but what's happened now is, of course, Harry's back in the country. Harry's seeing his father. Aides are having to have discussions with William about their events clashing, which has happened all of this week. And, of course, you know, William is furious. He's in no mood to repair relations with his brother at all. And, yeah, he would throw somebody out of the room if they mentioned his name.
I just can't. I can kind of understand having five brothers myself. I kind of sympathise with that, actually, Charlotte. Sometimes with my own family, but of course this is a very public spat. It's not like my private spats with my family, which we sort of get over after all. This is very, very public. And I guess moving on from that, he's saying his conscience is clear. I mean, that's in so many words. I think the Guardian are framing this as he regrets nothing about what he's done, talking about his family and the press. Of course, that interview he did, I remember so vividly, where he said he doesn't know how long his father's got left. These are sorts of things you never hear from royals that are so outside protocol. Is that just going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons even more between him and William?
Yeah, it's definitely a step back because remember that BBC interview, the one you just mentioned a few months ago? He said in that, look, I think I've done a lot of things my family probably won't forgive me for. We saw a little chink of contrition there from him. And then this week, the public narrative was, I mean, I'd say it was a 160 turn, if not a 180. I couldn't believe it. I was reading article after article in all the papers saying how his events that he'd been carrying out, his duties with his patronages, had been, you know, joyful and happy and upbeat, and maybe there was a way back from him after all. Then, of course, he met his father on the Wednesday. I just thought, wow, Harry has nailed a week of brilliant headlines, which I never thought I'd see again in this country. And then he gives an interview to The Guardian saying, I regret nothing, and even complaining in that article about how people think he's stubborn. And he said, oh, I'm not stubborn, I'm just true to myself, which, of course, is stubborn. So it's just, oh, I did think, oh, why did he have to go one step back? You know, on the snakes and ladders, I feel like he's gone down again. But it could be pulled back. But, you know, I think the public, and I think his family, certainly William, they want to see some contrition from this man. He doesn't seem capable of it.
Yeah, this is the thing, isn't it? I remember seeing a story last week, Charlotte, where along the lines of something like this, Charles was less irritated with Harry than he was with William, and maybe I'm getting that quote mixed up there. Could you clarify what that meant for me, Charlotte?
Yes, that was such an interesting story. Yeah, he did say, I think it was irritated was the word that Tina Brown used. So Tina Brown has a Substack blog, and her sources are impeccable. She wrote the iconic book about Diana. And she said, so amid this meeting between Harry and Charles, she said, well, by the way, actually, Charles is a bit miffed, is more or less what she was saying, with William, which, you know, shows, I suppose, that he really is in a mood to make up with Harry. And the reason given was he apparently feels that William's not doing enough public engagements. And then you see Harry doing engagement after engagement after engagement. And I do know for a fact that when he was here this week, he absolutely packed out his schedule and he made a point of not missing out a single charity. And he only went to see, he had one social occasion on Tuesday night, but he didn't do anything else other than work. Yeah. And then you saw William suddenly doing lots of events. You know, he did 4 or 5 days in a row, which is actually quite unusual for him.
Competitive, Competitive, Charlotte.
I think it's competitive, yeah.
Will, you want to ask a question? Go on.
Yeah, Charlotte, it feels to me that whenever Harry decides to do one of these interviews, he makes some sort of a gaffe or says some sort of outrageous comment, which just makes people more angry with him and puts him in a worse place than when he started. What is the strategy here? Why does he do these sorts of interviews with outlets like The Guardian?
Well, I know that the BBC was because he just had to blow off some steam. And I know that the BBC one he did a few months ago was meant to be about 10 minutes long, but he went off on one for half an hour. So I think with this Guardian one, it was very much planned to be in a print medium because then it could be carefully managed. And actually, if you read the Guardian articles, there aren't reams and reams of quotes. And obviously it's the Guardian, so it's sort of more left-wing, it's slightly more favourable, it's less likely to turn him over. However, they sort of did turn him over because they made that comment about his stubbornness and they highlighted the best quote in it, which was that he stood by everything in the book. They did make quite a good case in The Guardian of saying, so his justification for standing by what he wrote in the book was he saying he was systematically going through every one of the stories that was already out about him and just rebuffing them and not making any new claims out of nowhere. But I personally didn't get that when I read the book. I thought there was mountains of new stuff. But I think that the tactic for that interview was to portray him as this sort of hero in Ukraine. And I think that did come across. But the thing is, he can't help, there's always going to be a gaffe or two. There's always going to be something that slips out. And we're quite hostile there's quite a hostile media narrative at the moment towards him. So, of course, little things like that will get picked up straight away.
Charlotte, Bill Rammer would like to ask you a question as well.
Charlotte, firstly, on the Guardian interview, my sense is he was asked the question, is your conscience clear? And it's very difficult in those circumstances to give an answer other than his conscience is clear, which suggests to me choosing to do that interview was probably the wrong move. But I've been clear before that at the heart of this, I think, is a family tragedy, and a young man estranged from his elderly father, I think, is a tragedy. And I welcome the fact that they had a meeting this week for the first time in ages, and it seems to have gone well. Do you think that Charles will put pressure on William to soften and to move towards some kind of reconciliation?
I think he will. I don't think Charles will get very far, because what Harry's referenced in his own book a lot is how Charles and William, they bicker a lot, they do disagree a lot. So I think Charles may well encourage William, but I don't think it's going to happen. But I do know something that Harry wants is some kind of public acknowledgement, you know, on his shopping list of dream scenarios coming back to this country and spending more time here. I think it would be nice, or he would like Charles to in some way acknowledge him or kind of forgive him in public, to encourage the rest of the public to do the same. And this is what the Queen, the late Queen, famously did. Before she died, she basically addressed the nation and she gave a speech saying, you know, please welcome Camilla as Queen Consort when I'm gone. And that kind of paved the way for what we now do, which is called Camilla the Queen, full stop. And the atmosphere then was Camilla was still completely hated, the nation wasn't behind her at all. But when you have somebody that you really respect, you know, sort of permitting you to like somebody like the Queen did with Camilla and like Charles could do with Harry, that could move him on several steps in his very slow burning quest to re-ingratiate himself with the country. But I mean, unless William turns around and sanctions him, you know, and permits the country to get behind him when he's king, it's not going to last very long.
Charlotte, thank you so much for joining us. So many stories, so many great scoops there. Keep it coming. Hopefully we'll see you again on the show soon. That's Editor-at-Large of the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths. Thank you. Right, moving on, because, of course, coming up after the break, we've got Guardian front page here. A PM condemns protester who uses the England flag as, and of course, a symbol of violence. We'll be talking about that. We'll be getting into it because it's all over the front pages. Of course, all of them coming in hot off the press now. including the Daily Mail. We'll get into that too. I'll reveal all very shortly.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, if you're heading off to the Mediterranean, then there's plenty of dry, sunny and very warm weather on offer over the next few days. There may well be a few showers just moving into the far north of Portugal and the far north of Spain on Monday, but most of Iberia, dry, sunny and very warm, if not hot. The same across Italy, most of Greece, the Balkans and Turkey. Just 1 or 2 afternoon thunderstorms here and there. And the outlook is for it to stay pretty settled, dry and sunny for the vast majority and very warm indeed.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, weekdays from 9 p.m.
What on earth is going on at our university? So Professor Stephen Greer had worked for the University of Bristol for 36 years when his career was halted after a false accusation of Islamophobia. The issue arose when Greer taught about the Charlie Hebdo attacks during a human rights module, and a student who didn't actually attend the course complained. Well, I'm delighted now to be joined by Stephen Greer himself to explain what happened. Stephen, thank you very much. Tremendous to have you on the show. Can you just explain the circumstances that led up to you being accused of Islamophobia, please?
Well, out of the blue, or almost out of the blue, I received a complaint about a module I'd been teaching on a unit, a human rights unit, entitled Islam, China and the Far East, for nearly 15 years without incident. Which included the increasing critical literature about human rights issues in Islam, China, and the Far East. And my principally, as I said, the principal complaint, it did include a complaint about Charlie Hebdo, but the principal complaint was about the fact that I had referred students to the authoritative academic literature. And the student who complained was the president of BRISOC, the University of Bristol Islamic Society, who was a medical student who'd not attended any of the course himself, and he claimed to be acting on behalf of anonymous students. And there were all kinds of other procedural irregularities in the complaint, but the university decided to entertain it anyway. Okay. And I was exonerated after a 5-month inquiry. Then the university said, well, they were publicly announced. They took the module off the syllabus.
GB News, the People's Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's go to your front pages, shall we? Should we start with the Metro? Shows over for phone grabbers. The Independent. The true cost of buying a home for Gen Z. That's a really interesting one. We'll touch on that. The Sun. Rest in peace, Chablis. Lots of tributes to Ricky Hatton coming on the front pages here. Telegraph. Benefits rebels rally behind Burnham. We'll be getting into that, trust me. Daily Star. He was a man of the people, a great man inside the ring and a wonderful man outside of it. Barry McGowan on Ricky Hatton. Daily Mail. Scramble inside number 10 to save Starmer. Oof, I think I might have been right earlier. at the Times. Bruised PM hopes deal with US will quell revolt. And the I, prisoners will help to build warships under new plan to boost UK defences. All right, well, let's get the thoughts of my panel here. Bill Ramble, Chloe Dobbs and Will Kingston. Right, should we start with the one-in, one-out deal? And I think, if I'm correct in saying, it's on the front page here of the Times. First migrants set to return to France on commercial flights tomorrow, Bill. So this is of course, one-in, one-out deal that was struck with Macron on the state visit here. This is a very, very important policy to work, isn't it? Because I think if this fails and doesn't manage to get off the ground or at least pick up pace, people will go, what's the point?
And it's potentially very significant. And,
yes.
let's track the history of this. Robert Jenrick tried to deliver this deal with France when he was immigration minister, and he failed. This is the first government to secure any agreement with France in terms of returning migrants to France. It's a pilot scheme, small numbers, but proof of concept. If it works, the numbers can grow, and that begins to provide a deterrent in terms of people crossing the channel. And already the Home Office has got adverts in English and French in northern France highlighting that you now face the risk of being returned to France.
I love this corporate lingo, proof of concept, pilot scheme, as an excuse to say, well, we're not really going to do a great deal for a long period of time. Look, the public have moved past this sort of tinkering. One in, one out is no longer sufficient in the eyes of where most of people are today. They want all of these people out, and they don't want any more refugees in it at the moment. That is the issue. People will see this as tinkering. They won't see this as solving the problem. And this just gives reform yet more ammunition.
Yeah, Chloe, because I think when you hear what reforms plans or you hear the Tory plans, they're talking about mass deportation. They're talking about sending these people back to their home country, which is obviously quite a difficult thing to do. And it sounds great. And of course, most people want it. I think that's what I want, frankly. But many people will say, this is a good first step, right? We need to have these sort of deals in place anyway. If we're being fair to the government. The Tories didn't manage to get these sorts of deals. Rwanda would have only had, a handful of people go there. We would have needed hundreds of those, thousands of them, if we were ever to actually deport people properly. So maybe we've got to give the government a little bit of credit here. What do you think?
Well, I would give them credit if this new pilot scheme had gone smoothly, but we had it announced and we had Macron came and Keir Starmer and him stood up at the podium and said, we've got this great new deal, and we were given the impression that this was going to start imminently within a matter of weeks, and then they gave us the announcement that the first people had been detained. It's all kicking off this week, and we got the impression that people were going to be sent back really quickly. I saw the deal said that France has 14 days to decide if they're going to take someone or not, and then suddenly I think it's been more than a month. I think it was early August that they said, oh, it's starting this week, and we heard nothing. And then the first day back in the Commons, Yvette Cooper said, oh, I think we'll have some sent back sometime in September before the end of the month. And then the next day she was unsure even about that. And so it all seems like a total mess. And look, they are sending a few people back, but we're already hearing that a load of the people that have been detained, they've already got left-wing human rights lawyers helping them out to try and fight this. I don't think it's going to be an easy ride for them for something which, to use Will's words, is just tinkering at the edges.
The government announced at Macron's visit that it would start within weeks, and it is starting within weeks.
I think when people say within weeks, they think less than a month. OK,
well,
you can say, it started in 1,000 weeks. That's a number of weeks.
I think it's about 4 weeks since Macron's visit.
I can't remember what it was,
and it's starting tomorrow.
Feels like a lifetime.
And, in terms of the grandiose claims from Farage, that they collapse under any scrutiny. He made that announcement and he said, yeah, we're going to deport women and children. And the following day he said, oh, no, we didn't mean that.
I do think that was a big mess up.
Yeah. We did actually have
on
another show we did pull Lee Anderson to shreds on that one because it was a bit messy, but they seem to have landed on their policy now, which is at least a good thing. But Will, Air France will be taking these people home, so we've got the French commercial flights chartered, so you might be sitting next to a migrant on your flight to France next time you go.
Well, I can have it as a fellow migrant. I can.
Maybe we'll send you one on Qantas, shall we?
As a fellow prisoner.
Exactly right. Look, Chloe's point is the right point, and that is that you will only ever have tinkering unless you deal with the legal framework, which is a barrier to mass deportations. That is the ECHR, that's the Human Rights Act, that's this web that we've built out. If you don't do that, you just get these sorts of schemes which will not have the mass to actually solve the problem.
Yeah, well, Bill, it feels to me like the government is going to have to go in this mass deportations direction, whatever they do. The appetite in the public is there for it. You look at the YouGov polls, immigration is now the #1 issue twice in a row. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger an issue. It seems to me they're going to have to land on that solution at some point in time. Do you agree with that? Do you think that they're going to be put so much pressure on by the right that they're going to have to go there in the end?
Well, look, you know, this government has increased deportations by 28% in the last year since the last general election.
That's not people who have come across on boats, Bill.
No, it is
people who have overstayed their visas, like Vietnamese nail workers.
It is people who are not legal migrants and are being returned, and it's a third up since the general election. Look, we do want to return people. If you come here, and this is where I part company with Will, I don't think your position is the position of the vast majority of people in this country who want a system where you can apply for asylum, and if you get it, you stay. If you don't, you should go home. And what the government is doing is ramping up the mechanisms so that they can deliver on those who are not eligible being returned. And the one-in, one-out agreement is the first significant step in making that happen.
No, I don't think it is the case that the vast majority of people think that people should be able to come here illegally and then claim asylum. I think that a lot of people think that
Chloe, I've got to wrap because we're about to end and go into our late edition. On the front of the Daily Mail, scramble inside number 10 to save Keir Starmer. Might have been a bit prophetic, mightn't I, in my monologue earlier on tonight when I said he was toast. Let's see if he makes it. Well, please join me in the next few minutes.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, low pressure dominates, bringing wet and windy conditions. We have a Met Office yellow wind warning in force for England and Wales this evening and overnight and into Monday. So low pressure dominates, moving its way eastwards through Sunday night and into Monday with some strong winds, so 60 to 70 miles per hour along the exposed coasts. The band of rain will continue to push its way through, mainly affecting northern parts of Scotland, clearest skies towards the south and east, but behind that, blustery showers across Northern Ireland, Northern England, Wales and the southwest, but a milder start to Monday compared to Sunday. So like I said, we still have that wind warning in force across England and Wales, but for Scotland, it's a damp start across the north. Lighter winds here though, and then across Northern Ireland to start Monday morning, showery, especially across northern parts of England as well, where it could be heavy at times. Best of the brightness really focused across East Anglia, the Midlands and the southeast to start the day. But inland, 45 to 55 miles per hour is possible across England and Wales, so take care, especially during rush hour. Otherwise, showers affecting Northern Ireland and merging to give longer spells of rain across Northern England, Northern Wales as well. Towards the south of that, some sunny breaks, but also blustery showers that will rattle through pretty quickly, highs of up to 18 or 19 degrees. To start Tuesday then, it's actually a much brighter start out there. The low pressure will shift its way eastwards, so we'll start to see lighter winds. There'll be a few showers around, mainly across a northern part of England. Bright skies towards the southeast before sunshine turns hazy later, and then we see the return of more wet and windy weather on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's our biggest Great British giveaway to date. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas and has all of the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that any adventures you take in your new motorhome are taken in style. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're
the failure is
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
and you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is Alex Armstrong Tonight's late edition. And breaking news tonight, Channel migrants are set to be returned tomorrow. The Telegraph reports that they'll be deported by Air France passenger flights as part of the one-in, one-out deal. It's a major moment for this Labour government, isn't it? It could make or break it. Also, a huge debate we're going to be having this evening. Bobby's on the beat to get guns. A secret Met Police report has revealed call to arms for police officers with handguns. The Scotland Yard chiefs have rejected this call, insisting Britain's tradition of policing by consent must come first. What do you think? Would you feel safer on the streets if you knew your coppers had guns? Elsewhere,
I would love reconciliation with my family. I don't know how much longer my father has.
Yes, Prince Harry hints at a return to the UK. Well, in an interview with The Guardian, he said he'd like to spend more time in the UK and bring his children home. He also said he has, get this, no regrets over what he said about the royal family, and he wasn't airing his dirty laundry. I don't know what he thinks he's been doing. A top royal expert, Charlotte Griffiths, gave us all that inside information earlier, and we'll be getting into it later too. Over in America, a video...
This video is on TikTok.
At the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. We'll bring you the latest from that too. Meanwhile, we're expecting to hear from US President Donald Trump, who is returning to the White House. Remember, he's been giving updates on his close friend Charlie Kirk and called for the suspect to face the death penalty. And boxing legend Ricky Hatton has passed away this morning at 46 years old. A household name that was one of the country's finest boxers and was rarely out of the newspapers at both ends. I'll be joined by tabloid legends to pay tribute to the hitman himself. Of course, that's next.